Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm a robot who gets everything on her to-do list ticked off every single day, because I'm not. I'm just your regular, lazy girl who actually gets done. Now, you might think that doesn't make any sense at all, but hear me out. All the things that you hate doing, I hate doing just as much as you. I don't like meal prepping. Honestly, I prefer to order. I don't like cleaning. I prefer if I had a maid. I don't like sitting at a desk all day and getting my work done. I would definitely prefer to watch Netflix in bed. But you see, all the things that are actually good for us and that will benefit us in the long run just feel like such a drag to get done. So what we typically end up doing is procrastinating and doing the unproductive tasks instead. But what if I told you that being a productive person who gets done is really not as far-fetched as you think? So let's get into a handful of ways that I managed to boost my productivity, reduce burnout, and actually feel good while doing it. The first tip is something that I genuinely live by, and it's so good even if you happen to have ADHD or just really struggle with putting your thoughts together, and that is to create an effective daily to-do list. Now, this might sound like the most cliche and generic advice, but an effective to-do list will stop you from getting burnt out, and it gives you actionable steps so you take the thinking part out and can allow yourself to get straight to work. Most people don't realize this, but burnout is literally a result of mental stress, not physical stress. If you have all these things in your head that you're worried about or that you need to do, it piles up into a mountain of stress, and when you're stressed, what tends to happen? You reach for comfort. Now, this could be alcohol, it could be food, it could be scrolling on TikTok. Basically, anything that takes your mind away from your problems and stresses. But at the end of the day, those problems are always there and they're piling up if you don't get to work. So the best thing to do is create a to-do list. Now, this could be on paper, on your phone, on your laptop. Me personally, I like to use my Notions app on my phone because it keeps everything more organized. And what I like to do is split my to-do list into 3 sections. So the important, the non-important, and the side tasks. From here, I'll usually fill out my to-do list for the next day every single night, with the most important tasks that need to be done urgently, the kind of important tasks that I can start taking on when I finish the important ones, and then the little side tasks that are normally the tasks that take me under 5 minutes to complete. Now, here is the trick to making it an effective to-do list. You need to break your tasks into micro tasks. As an example, instead of you writing down tidy the house, that's way too vague. So what you should be doing instead is putting the tasks like make the bed, pick up all the dirty clothes off the floor, take all of the mugs and cups out of the room, wipe down the mirror. You see how it's giving you a whole bunch of tasks that are easy for you to follow instead of tidy the house where you genuinely wouldn't know where to start. This is called creating actionable steps, and it gives you more things to tick off your to-do list, which also gives you a sense of accomplishment, and it actually tricks you into wanting to complete more of the tasks. You're going to see the ticks piling up on your to-do list by the end of the day, which is a really good source of motivation. One tool that I personally recommend, which I saw on TikTok for people with ADHD, is goblins.tools. Now, this is a website that literally breaks down tasks into micro tasks for you, which I know a lot of people have been finding super useful recently. So definitely check that out. But moving into the next trick, which I think is going to blow your minds, but it's so fun, honestly, and that's to gamify your life. Now, this is a real tactic that multiple super productive people have spoken about, such as the productivity god himself, also known as Ali Abdal. Basically, you'd operate like you're in a video game, right? And you're going to choose your character that you're going to play accordingly to accomplish the goals that you need to in a certain period. So let's say in our case, we want to be more productive. What you would do is enter the body of this super productive character and play this life game in that perspective. All of the choices that you make now have to reflect how this character would operate. And your goal is to achieve these tasks or quests from your to-do list in that character setting. And it sounds absolutely crazy, trust me, I know, but it builds a sense of how a productive person would think and operate, so you can begin adopting those traits even if you don't see yourself as a productive person. This is literally what people mean when they say fake it until you make it. This will go over a lot of people's heads, but building habits that last also heavily depends on how we see ourselves. If we think that we're unproductive people who are trying to be productive to accomplish a task, it means we don't think we'll stick with that identity for long. So in this case, if we act it out, it eventually builds up that habit and becomes second nature. Moving into trick number 3, which is allow yourself to be bored. Now, I know I'm hitting you with some of the most outlandish tricks, but you have to trust me on this one, okay? Allowing yourself to be bored is going to let you become okay with not being entertained all the time. See, all of the social media platforms that we love are specifically designed to keep us trapped in a loop where we keep on going back for those dopamine shots. It's literally just like a drug, and this is why it's so hard for us to read or meditate or to complete simple essays. It's because we're not okay with being bored. So what you need to do is literally train yourself to accept boredom. You'll notice that if you delete the distractions from your life, it instantly works because the things that you need to get done will feel better than doing absolutely nothing. Your brain will start looking for the next best thing to do, which typically is the productive stuff that you need to get done. For the example of this is recently I went on a trip to Colombia, right? And I decided that obviously since there's no Wi-Fi on the plane, I would take one of the books that have been sitting on my bookshelf that I haven't got around to reading. I got this book over a year ago, and when I tell you I only managed to read about 3 pages, and I told myself I would go back and finish it, but I never did. When I got on the plane now and I didn't have Wi-Fi, and also what I realized is that the films that I tried to download on Netflix didn't actually save because I didn't have enough memory on my phone, I had to opt for the next form of entertainment, and that so happened to be the book. And I kid you not, I finished the book by the end of my 8-hour flight. I'm telling you, going on a social media detox will have way more benefits than you could ever imagine. Recently, some of you have noticed that I actually deactivated all 5 of my Instagram accounts. I deleted my Twitter. I got an app that blocks me from accessing my TikTok because obviously I still use that for business. And on top of that, I even took apart my PS5 and put it into the cupboard. So I have no option to entertain myself in the house other than to actually handle the tasks that I'm meant to do. And that's exactly why you now see me doing daily uploads. Now this actually leads me into the next tip, which is a less extreme alternative to the last one, and that is habit stacking. Now normally habit stacking is where you would add an old habit to a new habit that you're trying to build. So let's say for example you usually make a cup of tea in the morning. You could stack a habit of meditating for that 1 minute while the water boils to implement the new habit of meditation into your daily routine. In my case, I found an easy alternative, which is to mix an unproductive habit that I have with a habit that I'm trying to build. Now this is essentially where you mix work and pleasure. So let's say you've been putting off cleaning the house for over a week now and you have dishes piling up, the house is a mess, but you really want to watch a new Netflix series that you saw on TikTok. What you can do is just prop your phone up next to you while you do the dishes, and before you've realized it, you've completed a task that you can now tick off your to-do list. The same way that you could go for a 1-hour walk on a treadmill and scroll through TikTok at the same time. What you're doing is actually spiking your dopamine with the unproductive task, which tricks your brain into associating the productive task as fun. Now moving into the next hack, and that's to use sound to help you focus. What I've recently been using, which surprisingly was a TikTok hack for ADHD that actually worked, is to use background noise to help me focus. Now as a YouTuber, I have to script a lot, and that by far is the most tedious part of creating my YouTube videos, and I recently found that having something playing in the background while I work helps to keep me focused for much longer. And trust me when I say I've used binaural beat like the lo-fi hip hop and lots of different frequencies, but the one sound that has genuinely changed the game for me is brown noise. It literally sounds like airplane noise, and trust me when I say it works, especially with headphones on. I'm not affiliated in any way, but I'm gonna leave the link below for the one that I play on YouTube for those of you who are interested. And swiftly moving into hack number 6, which is finding or creating a creativity hub. Now this is a place where you minimize your distractions and you can allow yourself to feel inspired. It can't be a distracting place, so it can't be too messy or too noisy. If you don't have an office like me, or even your own bedroom that you can get some privacy, what you can do is find a coffee shop or a library or even a bench outside that you can get away from chaos. I personally like to switch up my settings, and sometimes I'll work in coffee shops, sometimes I will actually go off and work in nature if it's not raining here in London. But the point is, I'm not always just in my office. I'm always trying to find ways to make work feel fresh to me, so this is definitely a great way to do it. Now let's quick fire some easy tricks that you can implement into your lifestyle that have been working for me. And at number 7 we have don't drink coffee first thing in the morning. Now us Italians, we love our morning cup of coffee, so this one was so hard for me to implement. But what you need to be doing is waiting around 1.5 to 2 hours after you wake up before you have your cup of coffee. Now obviously I'm not a doctor, but Dr. Huberman explains it best if you want to go and look into it. But basically you have a molecule in your body called adenosine, which is what makes you feel sleepy. Now these levels are naturally low when we wake up, and they continue to get lower throughout the day. But what happens is that when you introduce caffeine too early, it will completely disrupt that cycle, and that's going to cause you to crash in the afternoon, which is going to significantly reduce your productivity for the rest of the day. And this perfectly leads me into the next trick, which is to avoid sugary breakfast. This is going to do the exact same thing where you'll have a crash at some point throughout the day because sugar spikes our glucose levels, and again it causes us to feel sluggish for the rest of the day. So what I personally recommend is a high fiber and high protein breakfast instead, like let's say brown bread with eggs or smashed avocado. One thing I really noticed is how heavily my diet was affecting me and my work rate, because I remember sometime in like 2021 when I was setting up my Shopify store, I was ordering a whole bunch of junk food every single day because I was just trying to buy back my time and just focus on the Shopify store. And the quality of work wasn't amazing because the junk food just wasn't giving me the proper nutrients to keep me focused and alert. Food is literally brain fuel. A lot of your tiredness can come from really poor gut health. At number 9 is something that I've been messing around with for the past year since I got into my gym journey, and that is to to start taking supplements. I have a little concoction of maca root, L-theanine, omega-3 and ginseng. All of these are amazing options, but obviously as a disclaimer, you should consult with a healthcare professional first before you go off and try anything. And finally, I've saved the best for last, and this hack is something that you can implement, which has a lot of scientific research to back it, and it only takes around 2 minutes. I use this as a last resort because it's the worst feeling ever, but it makes you feel like you could lift the car after, and that is to take a 2-minute cold shower. It's painful, it's uncomfortable, and it's really not fun, but if you can stand in a cold shower for 2 minutes, you can naturally boost your dopamine by 250%, which is absolutely crazy if you think about it. If you're feeling drowsy or groggy, a cold blast will literally have you alert and focused instantly. Again, the fine print on this is that you should consult with a specialist, because if you have existing heart problems, then this is definitely not a method for you. But yeah, these are my hacks to being as productive as I possibly can be, and I hope you found at least one of these hacks helpful. If you're gonna be trying any of these out, let me know how you find it in the comments. Best of luck, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.